So how did you get your start as a musician?
Well, I started playing when I was about 9, and I just fell in love with rock and roll music at that time, you know, which is kind of easy to do as a young kid.
Right.
I wanted to play electric guitar, and I just wanted to make noise as rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. And I played and I took lessons and I learned just kind of in my own way and all kind of different combinations of learning. And then I got my own band together when I was like 13. I bought a drum set and could keep a beat, so I showed a friend who didn't even play music, how to play drums, and another one how to, this is this note on the bass, hit that when I point at you, you know what I mean, and that kind of thing. And then it took off from there, and I ended up being able to learn really quickly because I had a lot of good influences and stuff, and took off. We just did like a talent show kind of thing, like a citywide talent show, which was totally lame, but I mean we were like kids, and then that was our first gig, and then we started playing after that, and it turned professional pretty quickly just because I have that drive, and wanted to do that. So,
would you say that you're just blues or other genres of music?
Well, the thing about blues is it's influenced virtually every type of American music, any type of contemporary music we have. So really, it depends on where it's coming from for me. Everything that I do comes from the blues, but not everything I play is necessarily, standard traditional blues, because to me that's been done, and that's a great thing, and I love that music, but, I would rather do something that is a little more me with it, and kind of tell my own story. I think there are a lot of people who want so badly to be, whoever it is from back in the day, Freddie King. They want to be that blues player or whatever, and they get lost in that, and it's like you're not that person.
Right.
So to me, I take all the musical influences I have, which is mostly roots music, from blues to soul, jazz and funk, gospel and all that, and I mix it together, and to me you can call it whatever you wish. It's definitely influenced by blues and all the roots music. But I don't even worry about that. I used to be like, I'm going to write a blues song, I'm going to write a soul song or whatever, and now I just write songs. And because I know that I have good influences and it's coming from a good place, it's just going to be good music, So it's definitely influenced hugely by the blues, and I used to play strictly blues, but, I think it's just kind of the evolution of the music. You have to let it move on and grow.
Best gig you've played so far?
I've been fortunate in that I've played a lot of really cool gigs and just had a lot of good opportunities. And as far as best gigs, sometimes the best moments are more what I'm concerned about. It could happen at a gig that's, a so-so gig. It's nothing too impressive. Like you may not be playing in front of 1,000 people, but it could be a really cool moment. And to me, once we were playing in Memphis once at the IBC in 2012, and we were in the Rum Boogie, and it was so packed in there because people had heard that our band was, someone they wanted to see. And it was so packed in there that they had to shut the doors and nobody could go in or even out.
Wow.
And people are on the tables and, just packed. The energy in the room was just palpable, where that moment just happens. And that's really what we do as musicians, is try to make that moment happen. So I can't say one particular gig. That's one that stands out in my mind, but just those times when that energy happens and you don't know what it is, but it just, the way the crowd and the musicians are on the same page, and this palpable energy that you can feel throughout the room that moves you. So anytime that happens, that's my favorite gig,
What inspired you to play music, and what fuels your love for it?
Well, like I said earlier, what inspired me to play music in the beginning was I was just a 9-year-old kid who wanted an electric guitar and to play. I was listening to rock and roll music at the time and just wanted to sound like that, I guess. But now what fuels the drive for me is there are a lot of things, but one is the thing it can do to connect people and to bring people together. And it sounds a little bit cliche, but it's true. The connection that I can have with a person in the audience that I don't even know. I've had people come up to me in tears and stuff, and that happens to a lot of musicians, and it's not because I'm super cool. It's
right.
You know what I mean? It's because the music just can have that energy, and in the right moment, it can really change people. It's changed my life hugely, and there are things that music can just do and connect people. That it's introduced me to people that I would have never,
right.
had that connection with, and just it's too powerful. And what we search for, like I kind of talked on earlier, as musicians, I think what we're always going for is the moment. it's hard to explain, but there's this thing we call the moment,
Yeah.
and when that happens, it makes it worthwhile. It makes all the crap we go through to be musicians, which there is a lot,
Yeah.
makes it worthwhile when that moment happens, and it also makes it worthwhile when you're on the other end of it. As musicians, we're also, of course, first and foremost music fans and huge fans, and when I go to other shows, I love being on that side of it. And so when I feel the way some groups that I go see and listen to make me feel, and I'm on the audience, the receiving side of it, it's like I just want to be a part of all of that however
Yeah.
I can, and it's especially cool when you can do that to other people and the moment just decides that it's going to happen, So I think that's what keeps me going through it, and just knowing that it affects people. I think that in your life you want to affect people in a positive way, right? I mean, in whatever you're doing. Music, to me, it's so easy to do that. And I don't mean easy in the sense of you can just whatever, but music can do that easily because it has so much power. So that's my outlet to do that and to try to affect people positively. And that's really a big part of what keeps me going.
All right. Are you enjoying your time here at the Bluesathon?
It's super cool. We opened it up last night, and played our set and got to play with some of the kids and stuff. And then we came out here last night, me and my keyboard player, and just listened. I mean, he played a little bit, but just listened to what the kids were putting together, and it's just too cool to me. I actually leaned over to him in the middle of things. They were playing something, and I said, dude, like, just the fact that they're learning this in a school-type setting, and this kind of music, you know what I mean? Not like high school band and stuff like that. I'm talking about this kind of music, and to play together, and not just the formality of these are these notes and whatever, but the fact that they're learning that in school, we were talking, it's just, in that school setting, it's way too cool, because we didn't have anything like that, so I'm super impressed.
All right. And do you have any advice for us younger musicians trying to make out a music career?
Well, there's of course like loads of advice.
Yeah.
That so much I couldn't even fit it all on this tape. But one thing that I'd say is really opening yourself up to different types of music and stuff, because I see a lot of times there are people who want to be someone, like I said earlier, so bad, and they like wish they could be so and so. I'll say Stevie Ray Vaughan, because that happens a lot. No disrespect, but that happens a lot. And it's like you can be influenced by that person and that music and that sound, but you need to try to do your own thing with it. And I don't mean you have to do something that's never been done, because there's not a whole lot left,
right,
in my opinion,
yeah,
that you can do that's never been done. And trying to out-hip music, you know what I'm saying? But just making good music that you believe in and doing your own thing with it, and not, there's a difference between taking from your influences and trying to copy someone. And when you're young, you copy people a lot. That's kind of how you learn to play.
Yeah.
But then you need to let that go and do your own thing. And I think that's huge. And I think another little bit of advice for players is to really listen, which sounds like, well, duh, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But really, some people forget to listen. Even when you're playing with someone. I was watching the kids play last night and just thinking about this, and sometimes it's not your solo, but you need to listen to what the other person in your group is saying, because you want to contribute to that positively. And just like when you're listening to records and trying to learn, really listening, not sitting there and kind of going through you're cleaning your room or whatever,
Yeah.
and the music's on, but really taking the time to get everything out of anything that you can learn from, that you can. Just try to put as much into it as you can, because that's what you'll get back out of it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Cool. Thank you guys for having me.